Welcome to Comic and Screen. My name is Sam Otten. With me is Jason Book, and right now we are going to debrief the Justice League footage that was shared at Comic-Con. This is our first look at what we have coming from Justice League. They're still filming, but they've been filming for a couple months or a few months, so they have some footage that they can share, and I'm very thrilled that they did share that at Comic-Con. So we got to see Bruce Wayne going and kind of trying to pull the team together, and we sort of got character introductions. We know Bruce and Diana already. We got to see them interacting a little bit, but we got introduced to Aquaman, we got introduced to Flash, and we saw a little bit of Cyborg as well, our first introduction to the team. But what was your reaction? What are your feelings about seeing this, initial footage?
I thought it was great, Sam. I mean, I think they really listened to, not fans, but, some people, what they didn't like about Batman vs. Superman was that it was really dark. And the story was dark, so it kind of demanded to be that. But I think to have this team movie here and setting up, getting to know the characters, having this Batman bringing the band together elements is really cool. It worked well. I like the moments that you got to see with him and Aquaman and things like that, or him and the Flash, because it really gave their characters, like, first of all, as we've talked about many times, the Flash has big shoes to fill because the TV show is just rocking it every week. But they did a good job showing that this Barry Allen is kind of a weird Barry Allen. He seems to have a weird sense of humor and kind of a bit of an oddball. So that aspect is cool there. And I like that in the Aquaman scenes, they were playing up that, Aquaman's kind of like this guy. He comes and takes care of people in the village and really kind of like playing up this mythological aspect to it. And that's why the guy from Game of Thrones was such a good choice to play him. So I liked all those scenes. I liked the Bruce Wayne scenes. We didn't get much of Batman, but that'll come later. And we didn't get very much of Cyborg, but as I was saying before we started recording tonight, his costume is probably the most comics accurate out of any of these guys. So it's kind of neat to see that on the screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was excited to see Cyborg. I'm excited for him in this movie. He is a CGI character, mostly. Yeah. So I think it's nice that we got to see him at all because they're going to be working on him. They're still going to be working on him in post-production and everything. True. So the fact that we got to see a little bit of Cyborg was good. And yeah, he looks like he's coming out of the comics. I did hear that he has, he's this mother box technology and it actually can morph a bit. And so he's going to have some sort of capability to kind of morph into a human form if he needs to mix in or mingle. So the shot that we saw of him walking with his college jacket on, I'm thinking that's probably him before he changed, but it could also be him in his human form. I'm not sure.
Yeah, interesting. Okay?
But I agree with what you said about Aquaman and Flash. What I like about this is that even just in these quick glimpses, we can tell that the characters are not just characters, they actually have personalities.
Yeah.
And it's always good when a movie, the characters have the personality, and it just helps you get to know them, get connected to them. And not to rag on a different, universe, but the Star Wars universe, I think that's part of the problem with the prequels, was that they had characters that were involved in the plot, but they didn't have a lot of personality.
Yeah, and they didn't give them time to you get to know them more, right? Yeah.
Yeah, or give them, just quirks or emotions or, mannerisms or that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But here, Aquaman is very stoic and strong and BA, and a man of few words, which might be good for Jason Momoa in terms of he's maybe not an Oscar-worthy actor, but I think he can pull off the part that they're writing for him. Totally. I think really well.
Yeah.
But he has this heart of gold, he goes out of his way to always show up and help this village out when they need food,
so stuff like that.
It's kind of this big, tough guy who has a heart of gold, I think is a great take on the character.
Mm-hmm. Totally, because Aquaman's never been in a movie before, so he's kind of, a bit of an empty, a blank slate. They could do what they want with him, and I think so far that take's going to work really well.
I agree. And they gave some nice visuals to him as well with that water splashing around him is just very cool.
Yeah, totally.
Because we've seen him on land, so that is at least showing us, the water is his element. Mm-hmm. And then you said some stuff about Barry Allen and Flash, where he has this character as well that's very different from Aquaman.
Yeah.
And then he seems like he's going to bring some youthful energy. He's kind of endearing and funny. And it's a nice contrast with Aquaman, where Aquaman looks like he's going to be hard to get on board to the team. But the Flash is just like, nope, I'm in.
Yeah, that was really funny.
He just joins immediately, so that's a nice contrast. And so I like the personalities and how they're mixing.
Yeah, I think they're doing a cool, different take on the Flash. I've heard some people say that it kind of reminds me of like a Spider-Man kind of take on the Flash, where he's like kind of a nerd and a little bit socially awkward, but he's got the sense of humor and stuff. So I think that's a cool take on the Flash to really differentiate it from the TV show.
Yeah. Now, what did you make of the moment where Bruce Wayne throws the Batarang and we get to see some Flash Speed Force?
It was pretty cool. I mean, like, it was kind of expected for me. It didn't blow me away because I knew they were going to do that kind of thing. I thought they could have done it, cinematically in ways that were more shocking and kind of, not expected. But that's because I'm a huge fan of the series, comics, movies, cartoons. We've seen them use the speed in a lot of different ways. Visually, it looked cool and it was a bit different, but I'd still like to see them kind of, amp it up and really do something different with it. And I'm sure we'll get that in the movie.
Mm-hmm. I was pretty happy with it. Like, first of all, I liked the character moments where, while the Batarang is flying, Barry Allen is actually realizing that is Batman right there, like because he can see the Batarang, and then grabbing it, and I like that. But in terms of the design of the Speed Force, I liked it because they showed his speed without him having a lot of motion. Usually you can show Flash's speed by having him move somewhere like quickly or covering distances with the streak behind him.
Yeah.
But here I thought they could show his speed even though he's not moving great distances. And I also liked how, I think if I saw it correctly, like it started to slow down when he's watching the Batarang, so it's kind of from his perspective.
Yeah.
And then when Barry Allen steps to the side, that's when the lightning and the kind of bluish, Speed Force stuff comes in. So I'm like, oh, so he taps into the Speed Force when he's moving in that, in that space.
That would make sense. And also, this day and age for the effects, the bar's been set pretty high by, even the effects on the TV show is good. But in the X-Men movies, when they've used Quicksilver, there's been two really like amazing scenes so far where they've really utilized how someone moving so fast would view everything in slow motion. So I'm looking forward to see what they do with it, because it's got, to me, that scene was pretty cool in the trailer, but when we first see him run for the first time in costume, maybe something really cool like up a building or on the water or whatever it is, maybe through a building, it's got the potential to kind of blow us away, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the mix of seeing the Flash's speed from an outsider's perspective, but then
totally.
Picking these moments where we see the Flash's speed from his perspective.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too, because they haven't really explored that too. That would be neat to see what it looks like to everybody else, right?
Yeah. So any thoughts on the costumes? You mentioned Cyborg being kind of comics accurate. I think, at being CGI, they're going to be probably polishing, working on it. And for Cyborg, I feel like I just need to see him in action, which I know it's too early to see that, but I need to see how he moves and how he would be in that kind of an action scene.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about Cyborg, but what about the other designs like the Flash suit?
Well, I'm kind of on board with all of them. I mean, the Flash definitely looks a little better than it did in the I didn't like the way it looked in that scene in Batman versus Superman. I referred back to this, official still they released with the costumes, and the Flash costume looks cool enough and different enough, but I still reserve judgment to see it more moving in action in a completed scene. Aquaman looked cool in the trailer, but when I see the still, it looked very green and brown, where it kind of looked like it was almost blackish in some parts of the trailer so far. So we'll see how that plays out. I think the Aquaman one, it's how it looks in the water is huge.
Right.
That'll be a big one for me, but they're definitely playing up the aspect of it looking like scales and that well. And the Flash, so far, is different enough that I'm on board with it. Got to see it in motion for sure. But I do like the way the costumes all kind of look together. That being said, when you're looking at that still of them all together, I would say that Batman and Superman's costumes are looking a little kind of drab in tone versus everybody else's are kind of popping, right? Like Wonder Woman's got that color, as we discussed in another video, Flash, Aquaman, and even Cyborg. So I wouldn't mind seeing them kind of highlight the colors a little bit more for Batman and Superman, because I think it would kind of fit with the whole Justice League thing.
Yeah. I'm same as you, where I liked what I saw in this footage.
Yeah.
So there was nothing that's really causing me to have concerns or problems.
Right.
But I also realized that I want to see them, in more motion, and then, make a more informed decision about how the costumes work and stuff. But so far, I'm fine with what I've seen.
Yeah, and a huge one will be when we see them all on screen together, moving.
Yeah.
And if it looks good and it doesn't look like a bunch of people dressed up for Halloween, because that was a huge challenge for the Avengers movies and stuff like that, and they kind of pulled it off. So that's a big one for this one too. And I think if they, based on what we've seen, they should be able to pull it off, no problem.
Yeah. All right, cool. And we saw the mother box and stuff, which we already know, from the plot synopsis about how there are these different mother boxes that were given to the Amazonians, Atlanteans, and humans, I guess. And the human one, I think, is the one that ends up with Cyborg. And so, we this one is the introduction of the characters. It's not really the plot trailer, so we're not really going to go into that a lot. But overall, yeah, I'm pretty excited. Superman is not here, obviously, but he is in that official image that was released. So we know Superman is in the Justice League. We know he's coming back. But, there's no reason to, and it's better not to show him when you're trying to introduce the rest of the team.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up in the final act of the movie or something like that to kind of help him out, because they're already down. The Justice League always had 7 members, so since they only have 6, you got to have Superman come in there and show a reason for them all being together, how they work better as a team. That's a huge aspect I'm hoping they really work into this movie, because that worked well for the Avengers, and I don't want either movie to copy each other, but if you're going to have a team movie or book or anything, it's those elements where they finally figure out they can beat this threat together. That's why they came together, right? Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yep. All right, great. Well, for me, I'm pretty thrilled to have gotten this much footage so far in advance, because this is not till, fall of 2017. So
yeah,
2017, I think, is going to be a good year, but it's nice to see a little bit and get excited about it.
Yeah, it was definitely a nice surprise. I wasn't expecting it at all.
Cool. All right. Thanks for talking with me about it.
Hey, anytime.